right, well, it was one of the better finals in World Cup history. 4-2 to France in the end against Croatia in the last game of 64 matches over this summer. Did France, though, deserve to win the World Cup? That's what we're going to start with here. Did the best team of all 32 that were in the tournament prevail ultimately? Dan, did France deserve to win it?
Yeah, I think they deserved to win it, absolutely. Yeah. Going into the tournament, would you have said it was the best team? Probably not. So, the bookies all had Brazil as favourites, and then I think it was Spain and Germany. Did the best squad win it? Arguably, yes. And, just like... bit of a humble brag moment here, but did call France as my dark horses before the tournament.
So here's what happened. Dan messages me this week saying, or messages the group, right? Yeah. So we have a WhatsApp group for this show, and Dan says, "Hey guys, not sure if you're recording. We weren't recording. Not sure if you're recording today, but I'd appreciate if you could mention that I called France as my dark horse pick to win the World Cup."
Well, and then...
How are France... I said this at the time on the first episode when you said it, but how are France a dark horse pick?
They weren't a favourite.
They were a favourite.
They weren't.
Also, I've been saying France for 2 years, but let's not dwell on that particularly.
I haven't heard you say France once in the last 2 years.
You don't normally listen to me, but...
I don't listen to you. But, so, did France deserve to win it? Yes, absolutely. Were they the best team going in? Probably not.
Okay, well then how did they develop into the best team? How did they succeed where the Germanys and Brazils of this tournament... failed? What separated them out and made them the best?
Well, they grew into the tournament. So they, as a team, they started off trying to fit Dembele, Griezmann, and Mbappe into the same team. They swiftly worked out they couldn't do that. Was it against Peru? I think was it a 0-0 draw or something like that? 1-0.
They won 1-0, I think.
And then they worked out that they had to bring in Giroud, even though he wasn't. I don't think he didn't score, and I don't think he got a shot on target by all accounts. But what he does is he allows the ball to be held up and allows runners off him, and he creates space behind him for the likes of Mbappe and Griezmann and Pogba to play in.
He was a bit like, in a strange way, the role that Giroud played in that France team was something like what Harry Kane was doing in the second half of the tournament for England, in that he wasn't the one in the latter stages that was knocking the goals in, but he was the one creating chances for others.
Very true, although Giroud was pushed right up on the last man, whereas Harry Kane was really playing the number 10 position.
Yeah.
But yes, absolutely. I think you're right there, yeah.
Yeah. Dugan, what about for you? France?
Yeah, I think given the group stages aside, when things started panning out from the round of 16 onwards, you were very hard pressed to look beyond France from that side of the draw. You think the Brazilians, given their performances, France looked pretty dominative from the start, and it's the ability to control a game that very few of those. You talk about Spain, you talk about the Germanys, those who faltered. They didn't have that ability to really grab the game and say, "No, this is our way of playing, and we're going to control the entirety of it."
The thing I found most impressive about France, in a way, it was also the most boring thing about them, was how they closed down those games. I talked about how France-Belgium was actually a little bit disappointing as a game ultimately, because although it was brewing nicely in the first half, France scored, shut the game down. Same with the Uruguay game, shut the game down, right? And that's what they did. They want to be very glamorous. It's a bit like Didier Deschamps, right? People, the water carrier and all that, but that's exactly what they did.
And that kind of mentality is passed through for the full team. They've all bought into that as well. They've all bought into the idea that we can control the game, starting from that kind of midfield hub with Kante and Pogba there, and really set that precedent for everything else to flow from. And they can score when they need to, and a lot of the times when they want to. But when their choice is to, no, we're going to control this game rather than play attacking football and try and stick goals past them, then they were the ultimate authority over that.
Were they much better than Belgium? Because I think, in terms of obviously not consistently, and you can't really argue with it because they did play each other and France won. But when you look at who in spots played the best football of the whole tournament, there was no team I looked at more than Belgium and went, wow. Like Belgium in the quarterfinals, for example, you just look at them and you're like, okay, when they came back against Japan.
Yeah, that goal against Japan, the best team goal of the tournament. Whether it's best goal of the tournament is up for discussion, but I don't think you can say it's not the best team goal of the tournament.
Yeah.
Belgium had the ability to break very quickly, and they had the key passes coming from De Bruyne, Hazard latching onto things at the end. But yes, that scores those things. But France were the rigidity and the solidifying nature of Kante and Pogba at the heart of that team was something that no one else could match.
I still think, and it's, I don't want to get too much into this because it's still a little bit emotional a week later, but like, I still kind of think if we had got past Croatia, I would rather have played France than Belgium.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Would have been hammered by either of them.
I think we would have lost against either of them. I think Belgium, well, we saw in the third, fourth playoff, but to a point that Belgium did do us.
Yeah.
And I think France we would have had more of a chance. Which does beg the question: are France really a better team than Belgium?
So I think Belgium are probably a better team. They certainly have the better players, arguably. But France are probably the better team. Actually, I know I just said that they weren't, but they're, in terms of having been set up with tactics, with a style of play, they reflect their manager. They're not very flamboyant, but they kept pretty much everyone that they played at arm's length. No one really got that close against them. When they did, Lloris was there. So. Yeah. But I think England would have lost. Like, if it had been a competitive final for England versus Belgium, or England versus I think we'd have lost 3 or 4 against Belgium, and maybe 2 or 3 against France.
No one thinks Croatia were robbed very quickly.
No.
I think they had some unfair decisions in the first half. Yeah, I think the Griezmann bought that foul.
But on the balance,
then they breezed past it though. The French ability to go on and score the extra couple of goals negates those a little bit, not a hugely, but a little bit.
All right, well, let us know what you think. Do you think France was the best team in the tournament? Did they deserve to win it? Maybe Croatia, maybe Belgium, England? What do you reckon? No. Who was the best team in the 2018 World Cup? Was it absolutely justice done when Hugo Lloris lifted the trophy for France? Let us know what you think in the comments.